What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Ironheart, everyone's favorite superhero. The internet is aflutter. It's abuzz. It's agog. Nay, Ironheart is certified fresh 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. The love has no bounds. Has no bounds. Actually, none of that is true. But I kind of like it. So let's talk about it. Anyway, I wouldn't mind if you would hit like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, help me on my journey to 50K. We're already on that. We're on the path. Just need you to join me. Join my cult following here on YouTube. Other critics say they go into things blind. I actually go into things blind because I am. Theretofore, young man, we shall go into Ironheart, Season 1, Episode 4, blind, as I do that all the time. So this has audio description. Audio description was fine. I didn't, this episode kind of slowed things down a little bit and tried to build out the characters a little bit more. I do go episode by episode. I'm sorry. I know there are other critics who are going to be like, I watched everything in 3 hours. I like to have things sit and be like, okay, what is this cliffhanger you've given me? What is it? What do I have to sit with? So I had to sit for, I don't know, a couple days with the cliffhanger after episode 3, which wasn't really that big of a reveal. It was just sort of like, well, John died. The Hood's upset. We don't know where the Hood came from. Well, we don't know what's going on with Ezekiel Stain. I'm still not a huge fan of Alden Ehrenreich as an actor. We'll see. So in episode 4, RiRi's got the little slip of cloak that she risked everything for and is trying to analyze, and she's stressed about everything. She's at a meeting of the gang. I don't know why she's still going to meetings with this gang, but and of course, like, the Hood is like staring her down like the whole time, and she feels uncomfortable. She looks uncomfortable. She's like, do you have anything for me? Am I working with, what am I doing? She doesn't do enough to like try to apologize and be like, I should have seen him. I should have been able to go in there and rescue him. I don't know why he didn't show up on the thing. I was scanning. I don't know what happened. Like, none of that. She doesn't ever try to work her way out of it. She just kind of like dejectedly stands there, like, really, like, she looks like somebody who did something wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's really hard to convince the Hood. It wasn't my fault. Like, it's just, anyway. So whatever. So they're planning something. The rest of the crew like goes around and does like tributes and their own things. So back at RiRi's, where Natalie's there and they're trying to figure out this thing, and Natalie's like, you really should sleep. And she's like, how can I sleep? The Hood's out there. And she knows that the Hood probably is going to come get her. So she tries to develop ways to protect her and the ones that she cares about. So she creates this watch thing that she gives to her mom, and then also to Xavier, right? Zay. So I guess if anything happens to them, it would give them some level of protection. And Natalie is talking about, how, because she hasn't met real Natalie's brother, and she's like, well, we probably should let him know that I exist. I don't know, they haven't really done a great job of bringing Zay into the whole like Ironheart thing. He's sort of very tangential. I literally forgot one episode I was talking about like her home and her crew, and even though they had introduced Zay, I didn't realize he was going to be like a part of the show. Like, I didn't realize he was going to be a part of the crew at that time because his screen time was so nominal. I didn't know that we were going to keep going down that path, but we have, and he's been in a couple episodes, so I guess he's part of what makes Ironheart a hero. Like everybody else, they always have this family. So and it ends up that little piece that they found at the crime scene gets traced back to Joe. And then everybody finds out he's Ezekiel Stain. And there are all these awkward news stories where they're like the son of the great Obadiah Stane, because they all thought he died in a plane crash and he was this benevolent man. And Ezekiel is the one who's putting a stain on the name Stain, which was, of course, the opposite. Ezekiel was trying to get away from that name and trying to do something better with it, and trying to find out all these ways that tech could help people and trying to make up for what his father did. So he ends up being put in jail for what RiRi did. RiRi goes to visit him. He's not happy. And he calls her on her bullshit, which is great. He's like, you know what? You take and you keep doing all this stuff and you don't really have any accountability for it, which is true. She's still stuck in this thing. The fact that she still is like entertaining the idea of going to the crew for a job, it's like, for what? Like, girl, you should be trying to like turn around and do like the complete opposite. Like, stand up, rise up, be a hero. I know that's what the whole series is about, but we're actually pretty close to the end of it. There are only 2 episodes after this. They only let you have 6 episodes. So you can go ahead and start that transformation now. And then we can have some like epic battle sequences and stuff, because they're giving her a convoluted story with way too many villains. So we have now, we already have the Hood and his whole crew. And then they're basically developing Zeke to be some part of that. So later on, Zeke is in jail and the Hood visits him and recruits him to be the new tech person, basically to replace RiRi. And Zeke takes it and walks out of jail, and the crew has all of his tech stuff, and they take it all back to the thing. And the last thing we see with Zeke is he's like modifying his body. A slug is helping him modify his body for one of his designs, which we don't know what that is, but sounds painful. So, and even that, it's not necessarily slug slightly modifies the code. There's something where they take out Zeke's name and then they put in Hood's name instead as being like the operator, owner, or whatever. So I don't know if that gives Hood control over him, if we've got now like another Iron Man-ish type character that Ironheart's gonna have to face. Probably, that would be my guess. Meanwhile, RiRi is freaking out all the time. Her mom's watch goes off and it puts her in this like little bubble because she was watching a cop drama that had gunfire on it on TV. So RiRi has to come clean and talks about the stress. And I guess her mom is like into sort of like light magic, but not like real magic, but like the kind of magic where she's like, I can do some stuff with patchouli. Okay, well, that's not real magic. That's not like Doctor Strange magic. So yeah, sure. And she's talking about like chamomile tea. And it's like the kind of thing that you think about when you think about like chakras and stuff. And you're like, okay, well, RiRi suggests that. So then her mom takes her. I didn't like this part. I'm so sorry. This part was so dumb. So her mom takes her down to this candy shop for a friend who dabbles in magic, but actually dabbles in magic, like really went to train, like where Doctor Strange trained. So they rope Ironheart into the Doctor Strange world. And they phase into like another dimension. And it's revealed that her mom's friend and then that friend's daughter both sort of know magic. Like actual magic. Like Doctor Strange magic. And so RiRi's like, what about this piece of cloak? And they're like, oh my God, what is this? And they're like, oh, it's dark. Oh my God, it's, and they talk about it from this like dark realm, and they're sometimes there is bad magic, and there are bad people who use it, and there's a hint. I already know the cameo that's in episode 6. I know where we're headed with this. And so, Jesus. And yeah, I don't, I think this was kind of silly. It's like, how many villains does this show need? We only gave it 6 episodes. Less is more, guys. Less is more. Ironheart doesn't need this many villains. There's a point where Natalie is like, well, why didn't you call, Shuri and ask for help? And she makes like fake phone call to Shuri, and she's like, "Oh, hey Shuri, I stole some stuff, and if you come help me, blah blah." It's like, I don't know, but I feel like that's a realistic call, because what you say is, "Hey, I got in a bit of a trouble with, and there's this guy who's got this magical cloak, and I don't know what to do with it. Uh, help, Avengers assemble." You know, she laughs at it like it's a joke, but it's like, that's actually one of the greatest problems that Marvel has right now is they have so many heroes across all of these series that anytime you get too big and the threat becomes too large, it becomes ridiculous. So now Ironheart is going to have to fight a bunch of people that are sort of collected into this small little thing, this little bubble, right? But yet none of these other heroes are going to summon in. Like, we're going to use Doctor Strange's world, but none of the Doctor Strange characters. Uh, doesn't quite feel like the best choice. Um, I know that Multiverse of Madness kind of left some things open ended, so we haven't resolved them. Um, could have been also an interesting way to bring Wiccan in some way through magic. I don't know, but this is why we need more episodes. I think Marvel Disney Plus TV really should hire the people who did the Netflix shows because those all worked for a reason. They told a story over the course of like 10 episodes. They kept it tight. They were able to expand. We knew who the supporting cast was. There were standouts. We got to love all these other side characters. And that's why those shows and those characters still last and why people are still fans of them is because those were really well done shows, except for Iron Fist. So everything else was solid. And now you have fans of Daredevil and The Punisher and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage because those shows had really strong establishments to them. They're not fully taking advantage of that, and this feels rushed. And the fact that they're adding like another level to this, they're like, wizardry. Let's put some magic in here. But why? It's Ironheart. This whole thing should be about tech. I know, like, we got the cloak, and it's like, where does it come from? But I don't need a heads up of where it comes from. Just give me the reveal at the end and let it bleed into something else. Sort of like how Loki, He Who Remains, at the end of Loki, there wasn't a ton of reveal of that way before. We just kind of got to that point, and they were like, well, here's He Who Remains. And then it bled into what eventually was Loki season 2. So have the confidence that your little drop at the end of the season is going to pay off in spades. And don't try to tip your hat 2 episodes early and just clutter the show. Because RiRi hasn't solved Joe. Like, she wants to try to get Joe out of jail. She doesn't know that the Hood's already done that. She's having panic attacks. The suit goes and gets Zeke, which is the dumbest thing. Why? I don't even understand that. That was so stupid. That is one of the worst written scenes in Marvel because they had this conversation about Natalie. That was such a selfish decision for Natalie as an AI to make because there are 2 people that she could have gone and gotten. One of them knows about her. One of them, Natalie, could have gone to get her mom and said, hey, RiRi needs you. And it would have tied in really nicely to the scenes we've already had where she was already sort of aware of what RiRi was doing. And then put RiRi's mom in a suit and then had her come out would have made way more sense. Instead, she goes and gets Zeke, who is... What? I don't even... Why is Zane... Why? Oh, so they can have a conflict about whether or not to use Natalie's image as the AI, and duh. But that feels so forced, and it's the worst time to have it. And it's like it pushes into Riri's panic attack, and then it feels like you used her panic attack to force this moment about having Natalie and Zay end up in the same scene together, and it was so poorly done. I like the rest of the episode. I didn't really need the witchcraft stuff. I actually thought we started really developing and pulling back layers of characters because we weren't so focused on action. The best thing about giving an episode a 10 episode order is that you actually get character development. The longer that you spend in a series, the more character development that you're going to get, the more of these side characters will actually get developed. So instead of walking into some random candy store where we get these two characters with no backstory who apparently know witchcraft because the plot needs them to, if we're being really honest, or instead of having this Ocean's 11 team with characters that are still really underdeveloped, I mean, really underdeveloped, that are in that crew. 10 episodes would have given these people time, but also better showrunners would have known that they were biting off more than they could chew and kind of focused a little bit more on, why don't we just do this? You know, we can have one smaller villain and then one main villain, and by the end of the 10 episodes, we're done. So you sort of had that, and then you started bringing in the magic part to it so that you can set up something, a big whammy at the end, and be like, whoa, look at what we got. See, this is gonna work out well for the movies. But I feel like that's not where we're headed. I feel like it's just cluttering the show. And for a show that doesn't have a very long runtime, it feels like you wanted to do more, and then Disney said no and gave you 6 episodes, so you just had to start chopping things, and you had to start moving pieces around. So now you have this really odd, forced moment between Zay and Natalie, because you're like, well, they should meet at some point. We need them to meet at some point. Oh, but we had to remove that scene, which we were going to have later on because it was going to have more of a dramatic impact in episode 8. But now we can only have 6 episodes. So now we have to push it back to episode 4. It's exhausting. Disney is shooting themselves in the foot like all the time, and I want to stand up for them. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love RiRi. I think Dominique is doing a great job with the character with which she's being given, because at the end of the day, there's still like limitations with the script. There's still limitations with the direction and the editing and everything. But like when I look at what she's giving to RiRi, yeah, I think she's great in it. I think she's great in the role. I like her as an actress. I would watch her in anything else. The girl who plays Natalie is a lot of fun. I like Anthony Ramos. I already miss can't remember his name, but from Good Girls, who was playing John. So there's stuff here, but man, this feels, and there's no point. There's no reason to it. Like, it's a Disney Plus series. It's not a movie. It's not theatrical box office that you're worried about. With the TV series, you should be most worried about the best product that you can put out, not cobbling it down to the shortest runtime and then farting out the episodes in 2-3 blocks of episodes, like, so that we have like the fastest possible experience for Ironheart. It's weird. It's like, I don't know what Disney's doing anymore. They must be getting so much weird feedback. They're reading too much of what the trolls are saying, and then they don't know what to do. And then they're stuck and they don't know how to fix it. And they refuse to get rid of Kevin Feige and find themselves their new James Gunn. They refuse to find somebody else who actually, it's like, well, the stuff that you've been doing has been working. What ideas do you have? And that's what I would be asking of the people who worked on the Netflix shows. It's like, okay, so now you're treading water with the Marvel shows. Why did the Netflix shows work? And they had great characters in them. You know, we actually saw them develop over the course of time, and they still represented all the Marvel heroes. All of them had their family. You know, I've advocated a lot to one of the best things about Ironheart is that she's rooted in Chicago. She's rooted in this neighborhood, and we get to see this family. We see this tragic backstory. We see everything that we need to see from a hero. And that's one of the reasons why you do a show like Ironheart, is because you're not sure people would see an Ironheart movie, but in a show, you can show us and introduce us to their Aunt Mays, you know, to their Peppers, to their, you know, I mean, Shuri essentially was a family member until she became Black Panther. So, I mean, you see all those different characters put together. So, eh, yeah, it's it's necessary, but man, it's clunky. It feels like this thing was written to be longer than it is, and now they're hobbling things together where it doesn't. Nobody ever stopped to ask themselves, does it make sense for her to go get Zay instead of the mom to go get the person that she has? Like, she just made this big thing about, like, well, what happens when he finds out that I exist? And you ruined the whole panic attack. Like, it didn't solve anything. It's such an odd choice, but the mom already knows about her. So she could have gone anyway. Frustrations of Ironheart. Um, eh, I liked this because of his character development, but man, we are getting we're throwing some wrenches into this machine for unnecessary reasons. I'm gonna give Ironheart season 1, episode 4. Uh, I'm gonna give it a B minus. I mean, there's stuff that I liked about the episode, but at the end of the day, I think we're kind of going a little bit it feels like, okay, so several reasons. One, the witchcraft stuff is very forced and like not naturally developed. It's just sort of like, by the way, let's take you here. It would have been nice to develop or have those characters earlier. Like when you like walk into a place and you don't know that that place is like secretly housing a spy agency and it looks like a regular business. It would have been nice to establish that she goes to this place on the regular and like this was her hangout. And then her mom's like, oh yeah, we're going to go there. You remember your friend who she runs that restaurant that we go to? Well, we go there for a reason. Like, oh shit, oh my God. You mean my mom's best friend this whole time has actually been a witch? That's handy, but at least we know who she is. Instead of walking into this, Riri even addresses the store like she doesn't know who it is. She addresses it like it's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Like she's never been there before. But yet, like these people clearly know her mom. Very weird. Very weird. So, would have been nice to sort of give her that weight behind it. It would have made way more sense for her suit to go get the mom instead of Zay, who's had like 2 scenes before this. He hasn't been in the show that much, and he also doesn't know about. So it would have been better for them to wait to do the Natalie Zay scene, but then again, they don't have the episode count that they probably need to make that happen. Um, it would have made more sense to figure out more of what to do with Ezekiel. Like Alden Ehrenreich is not a great actor for the character, but even if it was a better actor in it, it also feels like we are rapidly moving through that character's trajectory. We established the fact that he doesn't want to be like his father. He got thrown in jail, and now he's going to be his father. It's so weird. It's like everything is now on pedal to the metal, race to the finish because Disney Plus only let this thing have 6 episodes. Why? Like, what is the benefit? That's what I would ask the Disney executives, trying to come from it from a non-trolling perspective. Why is this so short? Like, everything feels truncated as a result. Everything feels like it's cobbled together from something that was supposed to be a larger experience, that was supposed to have more episodes, like Daredevil, Instead we got this. And this is unimpressive. This is, at the end of the day, it's okay. It's not my least favorite Marvel series, but it could have been so much better. It needed to be so much better because RiRi is following in the footsteps of Tony Stark. Like, my God, the man launched the entire MCU. I know those are big shoes to fill, and there are a whole bunch of people out there on the internet who are bitching about her ability to fill them. This isn't helping. Shortening her story and then throwing her into an Avengers movie because she was in Wakanda Forever. I don't know that that is going to give her the kind of gravitas that she needs to be a Tony Stark. She's going to feel like a side character the whole time because she never really got the development that she needed. So, um, yeah, I see kind of where we're headed, but I see where we could have been. And that's the problem. And you didn't need to change much. You just needed a creative team that believed in the show and the ability to back it and the ability to stand there and go, yeah, you can have 10 episodes. Give me 10 scripts. Give me 10 great scripts. Give me some character development. Spread things out. Like, let's build up these characters. Why don't we show that she's been here before? Why don't we have a little bit more time with Zay and develop him as a character? Why don't we do more things? Why don't we develop this Ocean's 11 crew so that people know who everyone is instead of just like Clown, Slug, and the rest of the crew, which is what it feels like. So, yeah, that's it. Anyway, I'm going to do episode 5 tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Until then, I guess, flame on.